the virtual information session on the postgraduate diploma in family support studies, master's degree in family support studies. And we'll go through, I suppose, most of the relevant information, hopefully answer any of the queries or questions that you have in relation to the family support studies programme. So my name is Dr. Carmel Devaney. I'm the academic director. So I'm delighted to meet you all, and you'll have met my colleague Gillian Brown, who is the course administrator. And so most of you will have been in touch with either myself or Gillian via the email. So you're all very welcome today. And as you'll have seen there on the screen, we're recording this part of the session. So we're just going to record my input and just to use that for other students who are wondering about the course. And then we'll turn the recording off for any of the Q&A. So you're very welcome, as I said, and we'll go through some of the information and guidance in relation to what the programme is about and how to apply for it. So essentially, as you know, this is the postgraduate programme in family support studies. And the whole idea with this programme is that it's designed to really, I suppose, share and understand a knowledge around applying a family support approach or a family support orientation across a wide range of human service, practice and policy arenas. So the idea is that really for practitioners who are out there working in human services, whether that's in early years, in community-based family support services, in youth work, in disability services, in any kind of a social care or social work role, with older people, with children or adults with a physical or intellectual disability, in nursing and policing and teaching, really anybody who's working with members of the family and who has an interest in family support as an approach can come on this course and I suppose really understand the theory, the concepts, the principles behind family support, and in essence learn how to apply that then in their day-to-day practice. So it has wide applicability right across, I suppose, that full arena of social services sectors. And it also has applicability and relevance, not just only in the practice field, but also in terms of policy, service development, service design, and also research and evaluation within the social services sector. So I suppose the broad aim of the course is to further the education, the knowledge, the skills of professionals who have that common interest in family support and are really interested in that orientation and want to advance and enhance their learning and understanding. The course is around, we're heading into our 20th year. It was established in 2003. So it has had good longevity, we're delighted to say. And it's unique in Europe. It's one of a kind. There's no other similar course that is totally focused and emphasising the family support approach right across Europe, certainly that we're aware of. Other postgraduate programs and some of the undergraduate programs have maybe a module on family support, but there's no course that is totally and fully focused on the family support approach. And to date, we've had sponsorship from initially the Department of Children and Youth, as it was, then on to the Department of Children, Equality, Disability, Integration and Youth, DCE, DIY, and more latterly that's been filtered through TUSLA, the Child and Family Agency. So that sponsorship has allowed us to reduce the fees. In essence, we've used that sponsorship to reduce fees in terms of the cost for students attending the programme. So basically we have two streams within the programme, the master's degree or the postgraduate diploma. And in essence, students can apply for one or other, but practically sit in the same classroom, they attend the same modules, and really the difference is that you can exit after year one with the postgraduate diploma. So if for any reason it suits you to do a one-year program, you can leave after the first year with that postgraduate diploma. Or if you've applied for the master's degree, which is the 2 years, and for any reason your circumstances change and you need to leave after year one, you can essentially change your mind on that and exit after the year one with the postgraduate diploma. 99% of students do the 2-year program and exit with the master's degree. But as I say, the option is there to either apply for the 1 year in the first instance, or to change your mind essentially because of a change in circumstances and exit after the first year with a postgraduate diploma. The program is part-time, so it's delivered every second week, so once a fortnight, 2 days, 2 days in that week you attend college, either physically, face-to-face on campus in the University of Galway, or in latter years we've had virtual learning. And I suppose we intend to continue with some kind of a hybrid approach where we have both the in-class and the virtual learning. And we've tried that really, I suppose, on a pilot basis this year, where we've had probably a 60-40 breakdown of in-class and virtual sessions. And we will hear from students at the end of this academic year as to how they found that, how they found it practically, but also from a pedagogical point of view, how the learning has been, how their interaction and discussion has been with their peers and with their lecturers and so on. And based on the feedback from current students, we'll then make an informed decision going into next year as to what that breakdown will be. But I certainly expect that we'll keep some element of hybrid delivery going forward. It's part-time, as I said, so it's essentially a part-time program. So every fortnight for the 2 years, students attend, and then that continues for either the 1 academic year if you sign up for the postgraduate diploma, or the 2 academic years, as I explained, if you sign up for the master's degree. The program is very much geared towards adult learners, so all students in the program are, I suppose, considered adult learners, and we have a wide age span, I guess, in the classroom. So we might have young adults and then much kind of more experienced adults who have been around and in practice for a long time. But because of that, I suppose we're very much informed by adult learning theory in terms of how we deliver our sessions, how we organise the teaching, and how we assess that teaching. So I suppose to that end, all of the assignments and assessment is done on a continuous basis. So we really start with continuous assignment in September, October, once students enter the program, and then that continues on a kind of a slow and steady pace throughout the academic year. And there's variety within that. So there's discussion boards, group projects, individual academic style essays, applied pieces of work, some, blogs, etc., etc. So we really try, I suppose, and bring variety into the continuous assessment so that it's, to keep it interesting, and obviously to, I suppose, respond to different learning styles and different approaches that students may or may not prefer. We have small classes, and our aim is to continue with, I suppose, a group of less than 20. So I suppose we find that that works well for the experiential side of the program, for students getting to know each other, being able to interact and debate and discuss the issues that are raised in class, and also for us to be able to get to know the student and for the students to be able to get to know their lecturers. So we certainly envisage that that will continue. And then we have some shared classes with other master's students within our school. So we're based within the School of Political Science and Sociology, and we share a class with the social work students who are doing the masters in social work, and then students who are on the masters in child, youth and community. So we have one shared class in first year with social work and one shared class with the child, youth and community. And we find that, again, that works very well just for debate, discussion, sharing of ideas, understanding different perspectives and so on. Particularly with the social work students, there's very good interaction and debate in terms of the role of support and the role of protection and safeguarding and supporting family members, and how that works in practice, and the different roles and the different agencies that are involved in it. In terms of the application then, the application process is through the university website, and it's pretty straightforward. Potential students are asked to have a minimum of 12 months experience working out in that human service sector that I referred to. So this course, I suppose, isn't really geared towards students who are coming straight through from an undergraduate program, but rather suits and is geared and tailored towards those who've been out in practice for a minimum of a year, who have some level of experience and understanding of the issues that are there in practice, and the issues that are involved in supporting children, young people, parents, families, and so on. And there's no maximum experience. So we've had students with 20, 30 years experience who decide for whatever reason to return to academia, return to college, and enhance and develop their understanding of the family support approach. As I explained, we have reduced fees at the moment because of our sponsorship through the department and Tusla Child and Family Agency. There's no guarantee as to how long that reduced fee will continue. At the moment, it's approximately €2,000 per academic year. And I suppose that's kind of decided on year. So as I say, there's no guarantee as to how long that will continue. And then once students do apply, we hold what we call an interview. We hold that virtually over Zoom or Teams, but really it's an interview with a small I. It's really just a conversation to hear from you what your interest is in family support, what your experience in this field is, your interest in the programme, and also for us to explain how the programme works and so on, and for you to ask us questions just to make sure it's the right programme for you, and that you're you're sure about the decision you're going to make in terms of applying for it, or potentially accepting a place on the course if you get one. And so, sorry, just to say on that, as I said, the application is through the university website. Our closing date on the website is the end of May. So I suppose, typically students will apply from here on in, really from kind of early in the calendar year through till around the end of the semester, which is the end of May, as I said. And once students do apply through the website, then we hold that virtual interview, have a discussion with them around their interest and so on, to make sure that they're suitable and it's relevant and so on. And once that's determined, we offer places to students, and I suppose we continue to offer then until the programme is full. And once the places are gone, then we have to shut the application, and it remains shut then until kind of later in the year for the next academic intake. So I suppose we have that kind of rolling application process. So really, I suppose the advice is for students, if you really wanted to do the course, so for example, in September 2023, the advice is to get your application in. And as I said, we process them as they come in then, kind of at regular intervals. And just to say, you will have a chance to ask questions on all of these. So if I'm not answering any of your questions, just hold on to them and we'll go through them after I finish the presentation. So in terms of I suppose the learning outcomes and what you will essentially learn on the programme, the idea really is that all students strengthen their knowledge base of the family support theories, the family support policies and practice. And that's very much, I suppose, informed by national knowledge, national policy, national practice, but also internationally. So we, I suppose, look to, particularly with the theory, of course, we use academic theory and knowledge from all over the world. We use research and evidence that's been published from all over the world, but also we look at policies, conventions, strategies, etc. In Europe, in Australia, Canada, America, right across the world, and really, I suppose, think about and consider, what's happening in other jurisdictions, what's their policies telling us, what's their research and evidence base telling us, and how, what's happening in terms of practice models and orientations around the world, and how can we take that learning and apply it to children and families and young people living in Ireland today. So it's very much, I suppose, taken and thinking about the national context, certainly using the learning and knowledge that's increasingly in Ireland, but also taking knowledge and understanding from what's happening globally. And I suppose the key focus is taking all of that, taking the theories, the concepts, the policies, the research and evidence, and understanding it, critiquing it, fully kind of, I suppose, debating it, but critically using it to enhance and support practice on a day-to-day basis out in the kind of the real world. So the essence of the program is about applying that theoretical academic learning to the day-to-day work. And really that's, I suppose, almost all of the modules have that applied focus where they really, I suppose, take what's been debated and discussed and learned and, consider its relevance, applicability, value in the practice of the students, the practitioners who are in the classroom. And the focus is on statutory services. So yes, the child protection and welfare, the youth services, the probation services and so on, but also right across the voluntary and community sector. So we typically would have students who are employed in the statutory, but also in the community and voluntary sector. And I suppose, really consider the applicability and relevance across those various sectors. And then as well as practice and I suppose learning and thinking about supporting families in that direct way, we also have an evidence or an emphasis on research and evaluation. So really, I suppose, trying to understand what works for families, what is best practice, how can we improve practice, how can we take research and evidence and use it to inform how services are designed and delivered. And we essentially train students in how to do research, how to go about social science research, what the whole process is, what are the skills involved to learn those. And in second year, all students undertake a social science research project themselves and learn how to write that up and how to disseminate it and present it back to colleagues and so on. And partly in that and partly in the academic writing, there's a strong emphasis just on project management, on evaluation skills, on research and report writing skills. So, and I suppose it all comes together really to essentially enhance and improve your overall approach to practice and your overall kind of skills and confidence in practice. So in terms of the delivery, we have what we call 3 core modules highlighted in red here: the family support theory, practice, and then sociological and policy insights into children, young people and families. So they're core because they are delivered and kind of central to all of year one. So right throughout academic year one, you study those 3 modules and they continue then in an advanced and more critical way into year 2. So in essence, all of year 1 and all of year 2, you're doing these 3 core modules: theory, practice, and sociology and policy insights. And as I say, I suppose you get the foundational understanding in first year, and then in second year, the expectation is that you think about them in a more advanced, critical way, really to debate and consider their relevance and their value in terms of day-to-day work, day-to-day practice with families out in communities in Ireland. And then in year 1, you also then, in semester 1, take a module called Family Support and Child Protection. That's the one that's shared with the social work students. You take a module on family support and community. So really looking at the principles of family support and the principles of community development and how they can align and complement each other, and what are the issues in terms of supporting communities and supporting families within communities. We have a module then looking at families with additional needs or particular cohorts of families who maybe are living with substance misuse in the family unit, perhaps are homeless, perhaps there's violence between adults and children, or children and children, or adults and adults within the family unit. Perhaps where they're living in direct provision or some kind of precarious situation while they're waiting the processing of an asylum seeking or refugee application, perhaps where there's mental health difficulties, so on and so on. So really trying to think about the particular context and particular challenges that families are living with, and thinking about applying the family support approach in that context. Are there additional issues that you need to think about? Are there kind of separate or additional or different ways that you need to think about supporting families in those contexts? And it's not an exhaustive list. We can't include and think about every situation or every context that families are living in, but rather we try and think about the challenge of transferring the family support theories and practices to families who have additional or particular needs, and what we might need to think about in order to do that. And then we also start that social science research that I've talked about. So we start that in year one, understanding what social science is about, social science research is about, starting to think about the different methods, the different skills, the different approaches, and so on, and really getting yourself informed and set up and ready to go to undertake that social science research project in year two. So in year two, then, as I said, you continue with your theory, practice, and sociology and policy modules. And just to say, the theory and practice module very much are aligned and complement each other. So in practice, how it works is that you might have the theory class in the morning, you might look at a particular family support theory, and then in the afternoon, you'll learn about how to apply that particular theory in practice. So you'll look at the different models, the different tools, the different resources, the different ways practitioners can take that theory and use it in their day-to-day work in terms of working with children, young people, parents and families. So they're very much aligned and kind of, are almost a double act in terms of the delivery of those. And then in addition to that, in year two, you have family support and health promotion. So really looking at a public health approach to supporting families, looking at a public health approach to early intervention and prevention, and how we can work from that preventative early intervention stance really to try and take that kind of universal approach to supporting families, well in advance of issues or challenges becoming too problematic. We have a module on family law. So again, taking all of the relevant case law, constitutional law, international and national conventions, and looking at that again, right across all of the issues that affect families. So that obviously includes, legal instruments in relation to childcare and child protection, but also in relation to divorce, separation, disability, domestic violence, and so on. So really any of the legal instruments that affect the family, again, trying to understand them and think about, the impact of those on day-to-day practice and where we need to think about them, and how we can ensure that we can support families within those legal constraints. And then, as I said, quite a large part of year two is devoted to that social science research, where you continue, obviously, the learning and the understanding in relation to it, but most importantly, you undertake your applied social science research project. So you conduct a full kind of study from start to finish, including the academic and the literature reviewing, deciding on your methods, deciding on your questions, deciding on your particular topic, recruiting your participants, conducting your fieldwork, analysing it, writing it up in a research thesis, and other forms of dissemination to get your results and findings presented to those that are interested in it, your colleagues, your team, your sector, and so on. And that takes up quite a large part of year two for students. So just to finish with some of the testimony from former students, and as I said, we've students from all kind of walks of human services sectors, all kinds of social services sectors, and students come on this program for different reasons. Some want to stay in their role, stay in the agency that they're in, and upskill in terms of learning more about the theory and the concepts and the principles of family support, and use that to enhance the work in the role that they're currently in. Others want to take on more analytical or research type skills and move into more of a research role. Others are interested in moving into policy roles. And others still, I suppose, are interested in more managerial roles. So it really, I suppose, students come on for different reasons. And in the main, they get what they need from the course. We've many students who come on and want to change their kind of career path or the role they're in, and inevitably that happens for them over the course of the 2 years or soon thereafter. And then for others, they just really want to improve and enhance the work that they're already doing, and certainly that happens during their year or 2 years on the programme. And as the student, says here, the application of theory to practice is very significant for students. I suppose it's one of the fundamental reasons why students come on the course, and it's I suppose a baseline in terms of a learning objective, that at the very minimum you'll have a very good, robust understanding of the theory and the concepts and the principles of family support, and how that applies in day-to-day work with the families and communities that you're working with. So my email address is there, and we can send these slides out to you, and also we'll take questions now and comments or any clarification that you want to ask of me. So thank